Good morning and welcome to Lake Country Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Michelle and my pronouns are she and her. We welcome you. We know you come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions. We welcome you. We know you come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. We hope you will find ways to provide outreach to others in your congregation, in our local community, and in our world community.
Here within these walls, here in this community of love and justice, we pause in our busy lives to consider what is worthy of our deepest yearnings. In the time we are given here, may we pay attention to the wonder of each moment. May we grieve what is lost, and may we be grateful for our life on this beautiful earth. And may we prepare ourselves to do the work love calls us to do. Just as we are, may we be the beloved community.
Unitarian Universalist congregations covenant with one another to affirm and promote specific principles based on our shared values. We live out these values within a living tradition of wisdom and spirituality that is drawn from sources as diverse as science, poetry, scripture, and personal experience. Our first reading today is an excerpt of an original piece by Richard S. Gilbert. In the Quaker tradition, we have liturgical silence in which one listens to the Spirit before one speaks. However, as G.B. Shaw once said about the original Quaker form of worship, I believe in the discipline of silence and could talk about it for hours. I know what discipline this requires, for even when I'm listening to another, I am often distracted, thinking ahead to what brilliant thing I'm going to say in response. Listening, then, has a spiritual dimension. It suggests that I am not the center of the cosmos, but rather one source of words among others. It implies that I have no monopoly on wisdom, that true wisdom may be found in listening. Listen to what others have to say. There is wisdom in all you meet. Listen to the sound of nature. It speaks and sings and makes music for those who pay attention. Listen to the impulses of your spirit. Take time to hear your inner yearnings. That still, small voice drowned in the raucous shout. Listen, this is a noisy world. Perhaps this year we will listen. Our second reading today is titled Prayer for Attention to Ourselves by Reverend Michelle Collins. Spirit of truth, we come seeking the courage to see ourselves clearly, not the selves we perform for others, not the selves we wish we were, but the actual landscape of our hearts, the fears we dress as principles, the exhaustion we ignore, the joy we rush past without naming. Teach us to notice what stirs in us without shame or hurry. Help us befriend our limits as sacred boundaries, to track what makes us alive and what drains us dry, to honor our body's wisdom when it whispers. May we grow gentle and honest in our own presence, learning to see ourselves as we are held, beloved, finite, and becoming. Here ends today's readings.
After we listen to the readings, I think we have that piece of music to help us finish that process of coming here and not being distracted so that we can get into the deeper meaning of today's message. Oh, look, there are bombs across the Middle East right now. Oh, my sister is visiting California with my niece. Oh, that's fun. Oh, I forgot to do today's Wordle. Oh, I got it in 3. That's good. Oh, here's an article in the Atlantic about the impact of this attack on oil prices. Oh, it's 20 pages. I should read that. I'll get to it for sure. What's that? We're running low on dog food? Okay, I'll add that to my list. Oh, it's 57 degrees out today. Maybe I could get outside and start to work on my yard. I've got to write a sermon on overcoming distractions. Maybe I'll just do the mini crossword puzzle real quick, then I'll get to the rest. You know, with bombs flying over Tehran, one might think that overcoming the distractions of late-stage capitalism might be a rather small and egocentric thing to focus on. But actually, I think it gets to the heart of it. Because we have arrived at this moment in history together as a country. And it feels like whoever's responsibility it was to ensure our democratic experiment proved its merit has become, at the very least, distracted away from that task. Because there are many things that seem to be happening right now on behalf of we the people that we the people don't seem to be really too happy about. This faith reminds me consistently that being engaged citizens is our responsibility. Why is it so hard to consistently choose the path suggested by the metaphorical angels of our better nature than the distractions of pretty much anything? Despite the modern world's retreat from many of the foundational concepts of religion, the foundations upon which our ancient traditions were founded were ultimately all about the fallibility of human nature and what we should then do to try to overcome our tendencies. But in many cases, a rejection of religion has stripped us of many of the very important reminders, warnings, and instruction manuals that those faith traditions offered us. That story of Adam and Eve, right there in the beginning of it, although clearly patriarchal in its sourcing, speaks directly to the human problem of free will. And I think that simple story sets up the whole rest of the book. If you didn't have that issue, you wouldn't need the whole rest of the book. We humans have awakened to the gift and the curse of free will, which bestows upon us an incredible amount of power and potential, but is ultimately a two-sided coin. Because with unlimited awareness comes unlimited choice. And left to our own devices, the choices we are likely to make tend to be shorter-term, comfort-based choices that draw us away from other choices that might serve us a little bit better in the long term, or might serve our collective needs a little bit better in the long term. Getting that Wordle word is a much easier dopamine hit than trying to understand what role I might need to play in changing the entire political situation in our world. As I was preparing for this morning, I came across some of Mary Oliver's writings. But it wasn't the usual musings about the soft animal of our body loving what it loves or the scent of wet dew on grass that drew me in this time. It was actually some of her reflections about the process and challenge of accessing her creative muse that seemed so apropos. I found these reflections in a piece written by Mary Popova. It turns out it's not like the challenge of human distraction is anything new. We feel like we live in a very distracted world. It's not like there's anything new here. Popova notes that 200 years before social media, the great French artist Eugene Delacroix lamented the necessary torment of avoiding social distractions in creative work. And a half a century later, Agnes Martin admonished aspiring artists to exercise discernment in the disruptions that they allow, or else corrupt the mental, emotional, and spiritual privacy where inspiration arises. In response to this reality, Oliver wrote, "Creative work needs solitude. It needs concentration without interruptions. It needs the whole sky to fly in, and no eye watching until it comes to that certainty which it aspires to, but does not necessarily have at once. Privacy, then, a place apart, to pace, to chew pencils, to scribble and erase and to scribble again. She goes on to reflect, but just as often, if not more often, spoke right to my personal heart. The interruption comes not from another, but from self itself, or some other self within the self, that whistles and pounds upon the door panel and tosses itself splashing into the pond of meditation. And what does it have to say? That you must phone the dentist, that you're out of mustard, your Uncle Stanley's birthday is 2 weeks hence. And you react, of course. And then you must return to your work, only to find that the imps of idea have fled back into the mist. She goes on to note that the world sheds in energetic ways of an open and communal place its many greetings as a world should. What quarrel can there be with that? But that the self can interrupt the self, and does, is a darker and more curious matter. And it was really comforting to know that Mary Oliver wrestled with the same things I wrestled day to day and week to week and every Sunday before I get here. Because whether you're a poet or a visual artist or just a human being trying to navigate this one wild and precious life, this is the challenge that we all have to overcome. Jonathan Haidt, in his book, The Happiness Hypothesis, offers a simple model to describe this conundrum, which I'm sure many of you heard. He uses the visual of a rider on an elephant, the rider being our rational mind, and the elephant being our emotions. And he notes that the elephant, being larger, usually wins whenever there is a disagreement between the two. He notes that to win this battle, one must direct the rider, which means to provide clear goals, motivate the elephant, which means to engage the emotions, and shape the path, which means to modify the environment. So let's look at those three elements and see what we might take away from this. The rational side is the easier one. It's where we live. It's where we think we can gain control. It's how we're wired. It's our natural mechanism that says, this is where I am, and that's where I want to be. I will make this choice, and I will get from here to there. Very simple. It's how everything works, right? If we would just act on that guidance and nothing else, perhaps we might not need church or self-help books or therapy. But it's the gap between what we say we want and what we actually sometimes do that gives us fits. That elephant is huge, and it's powerful. And I believe every one of us has it and is trying to control it the best that we can. And it moves silently. Ever seen how silently those giant elephants move? Man, when that elephant goes where it wants to go, sometimes it feels like there's no stopping it. It is a stubborn pull that draws our attentions in whatever direction it wants to take us. Our elephants are shaped by so much. All of our ancestors' lived experiences imprinted in our DNA, silently drawing our attentions away from pain and towards pleasure. Our childhood environment, that tabula rasa where our emerging spirits are presented with rules and ideas and concepts and consequences that ultimately become our subconscious, becoming the behaviors that often keep us safe, but also often come with the unintended baggage of a child that was trying to follow instructions, but didn't always understand the source and couldn't always ask for clarification in the moment. Therapy can certainly help with this part. Going back, exploring the inner instruction manuals that we've created for ourselves, finding where maybe there might be some error in the coding that we've written, intentionally rewriting our software so that the programming supports our hoped for outcomes rather than throwing the same error over and over and over again. But even when we've done our work for years and years and years until there can't possibly be any more stones to turn, we still don't always seem to be able to control those elephants on our own. And this is where I think community comes in. Because you know me, I can't get through a sermon without coming back to the importance of community. Religious communities throughout the ages, in my mind, have always existed to play the role of helping us to control our elephants. Different traditions prescribe different paths. Many Christian traditions relied on the threat of fire and brimstone to compel followers to rise above their petty desires. Guilt has often been used as a stick to drive obedience. The Buddhists encourage a practice of increasing our awareness, with the promise that getting better at noticing is the method to ensure we maintain control of our elephants. But even the Buddhists acknowledge the difficulty of maintaining a solo meditation practice and encourage doing that work with the support of community. We humans are social creatures, and for as much as we are challenged to make our own way, we are not wired to succeed for very long without being in relationship with others. And the reason I chose this faith over all the others is how we approach the subtle work of supporting one another in our elephant guiding efforts. In this chosen faith, we are not trying to be one way or another because someone told us that's how we have to be. Instead, we have looked at all the options that exist, and we have come to the conclusion that this faith offers us a path to follow that makes sense. We collectively agree upon a general direction that feels right, choose to join together with others headed in the same direction, and agree to support one another on our journeys. We acknowledge our frailties, we honor our strengths, and we promise mutual support. So how does that work in real life? In tangible ways, this faith is often a conduit to resources we can benefit from on our journeys. We're new parents. We find folks here with similar worldviews that have gone before us. We turn to community for advice and comfort. But there's something subtler and I think more powerful that is almost like the elephant of community. By simply making a commitment to be a part of this community, you are exposing yourself to an unspoken set of expectations that has the ability to subtly influence not only our behaviors, but who we see ourselves as in the world. By making a choice to come to church on each Sunday, you're telling your subconscious that for at least 1 hour a week, you are taking time out of your busy lives to contemplate how your daily choices fit into the larger picture. So many people don't do that. It's a big thing. But if you commit to doing just one more thing in this community, like the Schmidts have done, like so many people in this community have done over the years and continue to do each week, whatever it is, making coffee, teaching kids, serving on committee, whatever additional thing you signed to help out with, this changes your relationship with everything. Because all of a sudden, you're not just a passive participant. You're an active member of a larger community. A larger community that is trying to figure out where its collective elephant wants to go and what it's going to take to guide that collective elephant in the same direction. So now you've made a commitment to something larger than yourself, larger than your personal wants, needs, and desires, larger than your family responsibilities. You have become a part of something larger than yourself. And this changes your whole relationship with yourself. You are no longer just trying to do what's best for yourself. You've become a part of something. And it is this something that can strengthen your rider. When you see yourself as a part of something larger, there is a force that strengthens your will. And I don't know why this is, but it is often easier for many of us to do something for another than it is to do for ourselves. Topic for a whole different sermon. But this community is where we can all find support we need to better focus our efforts, if only we are able to look. I honestly do believe that community, the oldest of human creations, which has in many ways been torn asunder by our individual yearnings, I believe that is the solution we seek to all that currently ails us. This community is currently in the initial stage of developing our budget for the next year. And a community's budget, in my mind, is a list of dreams that it prioritizes. This is the guidance for our collective elephant. What are your dreams for this community? What do you need more of from this community? What do you think this community could spend less time focused on? I dream of a community that is energized by the collective challenges and is turning to itself as a catalyst for positive change in the world. And we are seeing that happen. I dream of a community where families get together to support one another on their journeys. And we are seeing that happen. I dream of a community where like-minded people find the connections they need to survive and thrive. And I dream of a community where our young folks are being mentored by our elders and where our elders are being taught new things by our youth. None of these things happen on their own. There is always something else calling our attentions in other directions. But I really want to challenge us all to consider the positive impact we hope to make in the world, and then consider where else can we both contribute and be supported in our struggles all at the same time. I encourage each member of this community to really think about what you need more of from this community and seek out someone in the leadership team, either on the board or on one of the committee leads or on the leadership team, and share with them what you want to see in the coming year. Because by March 24th, that's the time when we're going to put all our budget together. Ask for what you need, and let's collectively try to bring those needs to life. As I grow older, and as I make my way around more different UU communities, what I frequently see is what I'm seeing here. A generation of folks that was raised with this understanding of the importance of community, that have actively participated in the community through much of their lives, and who are now reaping the benefit of relationships formed over decades of shared efforts, like cars being driven an hour when they need to be. Much of what I say up here these days, though, is directed at the next generation, mine and those coming after. Because church and community connection have been squeezed out by so many other shiny distractions. Games and sports and phones, all the modern things. Which, as we heard earlier, is really nothing new. I turned to Mary Oliver's musing earlier, not because you are all artists in the traditional sense, but because I know that everyone that chooses this faith is at least in some way self-directed enough that you are attempting to be the artists of your own lives. It's a beautiful day. There are bombs flying over Tehran. So many choices. And the brush is in your hands. What will you choose to do with this one wild and precious life? I do hope you will join myself and our guest in our second hour. I think it's a really exciting opportunity to join some of our friends at West, some of our families here. I'm going to see about going to check that out. And they brought food, so I really want that'll usually pull in people, even if you're just kind of interested in thinking about it. And whether you do that or not, think about what it is you want from this church. Now is the time. Between now and March 24th is when the budgets are being put together. Seek out somebody on the board, seek somebody out in leadership, seek somebody on a committee, tell them what is on your heart, tell them what you want more from this community so that we can invest in that and bring that to life. May it be so. Go in peace.